Isolation. It's a word that sounds peaceful, but honestly, inside, it hides a storm. At first it feels comforting, like a gentle embrace that shields you from the relentless pace of the outside world. The silence wraps around you, soft and familiar, a cocoon that muffles the chaos and chatter that so often fills our days. In these moments, the world seems to slow down, and you find yourself savoring the rare luxury of stillness. The hum of appliances, the distant sounds of traffic, even the ticking of a clock, all fade into the background, leaving only the quiet presence of your own breath and heartbeat. It's as if the universe has pressed pause, granting you a brief sanctuary from the demands and distractions that constantly tug at your attention. In this hush, you discover a quiet escape from the noise of the world, a place where you can finally hear your own thoughts without interruption. The silence becomes a balm, soothing the frayed edges of your mind. You notice the subtle details that are so easily overlooked, the way the light shifts across the floor, the soft creak of the house settling, the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. Each moment stretches out, unhurried, inviting you to linger and simply be. There is a profound sense of relief in this solitude, a feeling that you have stepped outside the current of life and found a hidden eddy where you can rest. This is a space to think, to breathe, to let your mind wander without boundaries. Here, you can reflect on the day, replay conversations, or simply let your thoughts drift like clouds across a clear sky. The silence offers you a rare opportunity to check in with yourself, to ask questions that are so often drowned out by the clamor of daily life. What do you need? What are you feeling? What dreams have you set aside, waiting for a quieter moment to revisit? In this gentle quiet, you can listen for the answers, trusting that they will come in their own time. But as time passes, the silence begins to speak. What once felt like a comforting blanket can start to feel heavier, more insistent. The quiet that was once a refuge now presses in, filling the room with unspoken questions and memories that rise to the surface. You may find yourself noticing the emptiness in the spaces between sounds, the way the silence seems to echo with things left unsaid. It is in these moments that the true nature of silence reveals itself, not just as an absence of noise, but as a presence all its own, capable of stirring emotions you thought you had tucked away. The silence can become a mirror, reflecting back your hopes, your fears, your regrets. It asks you to sit with yourself, to confront the thoughts and feelings that you might otherwise avoid. Sometimes this can be uncomfortable, even painful. The memories you've tried to bury may resurface, and the questions you've been avoiding may demand answers. Yet, there is also a quiet strength in facing these moments. In the stillness, you can begin to process, to heal, to understand yourself more deeply. The silence, although daunting, can be a teacher, guiding you toward acceptance and growth. Over time, you may come to appreciate the dual nature of silence, both its comfort and its challenge. It is a space where you can rest, but also a space where you can confront and transform. The silence is not empty, it is full of possibility. It invites you to listen, not just to the world around you, but to the quiet voice within. In this way, the comforting silence becomes a journey, one that leads you inward, toward greater understanding, resilience, and peace. The human mind was never meant to exist alone. From the earliest days of our species, connection has been as vital to our survival as food, water, and shelter. We are born into the world seeking the warmth of another, the comfort of a familiar voice, the gentle touch of a caring hand. Even before we can speak, we reach out, crying, cooing, searching for someone to answer. This need for connection is woven into the very fabric of our being. It is not simply a desire, but a fundamental requirement for our mental and emotional well-being. Imagine, for a moment, a life lived in total isolation. The walls close in, the silence grows heavy, and the mind begins to wander. Without the presence of others, our thoughts echo endlessly, unanswered. The world outside becomes distant, almost unreal. In these moments, loneliness is not just an emotion. It is a physical ache, a longing that seeps into every corner of our existence. The empty chair in a quiet home, the solitary figure gazing out a window, the hush that fills a dimly lit room. These are not just images of solitude, but of a deeper, more profound need that remains unmet. We are social beings. We need eyes that see us and voices that answer back. Our sense of self is shaped by the reflections we find in others. When someone smiles at us, acknowledges our presence, or simply listens, it affirms our existence. These moments of connection, no matter how small, are the threads that weave us into the tapestry of humanity. They remind us that we are not alone, that we matter, and that our lives are intertwined with those around us. Throughout history, communities have formed around shared experiences, beliefs, and dreams. From ancient tribes gathered around a fire, to bustling city squares filled with conversation, to the digital networks that connect us across continents today. Our need for connection has driven us to create, to innovate, and to reach out beyond ourselves. It is in the laughter shared with friends, the embrace of a loved one, the simple act of reaching out to touch another's hand, that we find meaning and belonging. But connection is not always easy. In a world that often feels rushed and fragmented, genuine moments of togetherness can be hard to find. We may be surrounded by people, yet still feel invisible. We may hear countless voices, yet long for one that truly understands. The glass that separates us, whether literal or metaphorical, can sometimes feel impenetrable. And yet, we keep reaching, hoping, and searching for that spark of recognition, that sense of being truly seen and heard. When those disappear, the mind starts to create them. In the absence of real connection, our minds will invent voices to fill the silence, faces to populate the emptiness. We talk to ourselves in mirrors, replay old conversations, and imagine the presence of those we miss. Sometimes we reach for our phones, hoping for a message, a call, a sign that someone out there is thinking of us. The ache of loneliness can become so intense that our minds conjure up companions, blurring the line between reality and imagination. This is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to the power of our need for connection. The mind, in its infinite creativity, seeks to protect us from the pain of isolation. It builds bridges where none exist, creates stories to fill the void, and holds onto memories as lifelines. Yet while these imagined connections may offer temporary comfort, they cannot replace the richness of real human interaction. To truly thrive, we must nurture our connections with family, friends, and even strangers. We must be willing to reach out, to listen, to share, and to be vulnerable. It is in these acts of openness and empathy that we find healing and hope. The need for connection is universal, transcending age, culture, and circumstance. It is what makes us human and what binds us together, even in the darkest of times. So, as you move through your day, Remember the power of a kind word, a gentle touch, a listening ear. These small gestures can be lifelines for someone in need, and reminders to ourselves that we are never truly alone. The human mind was never meant to exist alone, and in reaching out to others we find the connection that sustains us all. The mind is a master of invention, a restless architect that conjures up illusions in the quietest corners of our solitude. When left alone, it becomes both companion and adversary, spinning stories out of thin air, creating entire worlds that exist only within the boundaries of our own skulls. Sometimes it talks to itself, whispering thoughts that echo in the silence, replaying conversations that never happened, or rehearsing arguments that will never be spoken aloud. In these moments, the mind is like a stage, and we are both the audience and the performer, watching ourselves from the shadows, questioning what is real and what is merely a trick of the light. Memories, too, become playthings for the mind. We reach for them like old photographs tucked away in a forgotten drawer, hoping to find comfort or clarity. But the more we revisit these memories, the more they shift and blur, their edges softening until the truth becomes elusive. The mind replays moments from the past over and over, sometimes searching for meaning, sometimes simply out of habit. But with each repetition, the details fade, the emotions dull, and what once felt vivid and important can lose its weight, becoming just another story we tell ourselves. It's as if the act of remembering is also an act of erasing, a slow transformation of experience into myth. As the hours slip by, time itself begins to blur. The boundaries between day and night, between past and present, start to dissolve. Logic, which once served as a guiding star, fades into the background, replaced by a haze of feelings and impressions. The mind drifts, untethered from the anchors of routine and reason, wandering through landscapes that are both familiar and strange. In this state, reality becomes slippery, and the line between what is imagined and what is true grows thin. The world outside the window seems distant, almost unreal, while the world inside the mind grows larger, more vivid, and more consuming. And honestly, in these quiet hours, the inner world can feel more real than the outer one. Thoughts become landscapes, emotions become weather, and memories become the architecture of a private universe. We find ourselves wandering through these inner spaces, sometimes seeking answers, sometimes simply seeking escape. The mind, in its solitude, is both a sanctuary and a labyrinth, a place where we can lose ourselves, but also where we can find hidden truths. In the end, the illusions we create and the memories we replay are not just tricks of the mind. They are the raw material of our inner lives, shaping who we are and how we see the world. And as we sit in the quiet, watching the city lights flicker outside, we realize that the most profound journeys are the ones we take within ourselves, guided by the shifting shadows and the stories only we can tell. Psychologists say that long isolation changes the brain, weakening perception, feeding hallucinations, anxiety, and despair. Because in deep solitude, a person doesn't just lose others, they begin to lose themselves. And yet, not all isolation is madness. In brief silence, we may find clarity, but in endless solitude, we may lose our very mind.